Yo, what's good, YouTube? This is Jay from TNJ, and welcome back to the New Orleans Kings franchise after Memorial Day. Hope you guys all enjoyed your holiday, and let's just kick into this action. And really, I just want to recap Season 2. Season 2 was a lot longer than what I expected because of just how good we were. I didn't expect us to be this good, and we went on a run, and I didn't expect that at all. So, the Nationals end up beating the White Sox in the World Series 4-1, and Justin Turner gets the World Series MVP. Wow, the Nationals are just on a tear, and the Dodgers, I believe, won it last year. So, you look at the last three World Series MVPs, it's been Nationals, Dodgers, Nationals, and just looking at Justin Turner, I'm actually going to put his ratings right back up to what they were because I don't see a decline there. I mean, he's getting older, but if you're hitting 381 in the playoffs, I mean, you don't decline. And that's one thing I don't like about this game. It doesn't have a consistent decline. You kind of decline if you're old, but a lot of guys are just better when they're older. They're kind of bad when they're younger, better when they're older. And I'm going to kind of put his ratings back to what they were. I know a lot of you guys have said I should adjust some ratings based on like overachieving. I kind of do that in my NCAA series. I might kind of implement it here. I don't know how I would do that. But if guys maybe hit better than what they're supposed to or hit way worse, maybe I can decline them a little bit, or maybe just improve, maybe not decline them, but maybe just improve them if they do way better than what they're expected to do. I don't know how I'm going to work that. Let me know if you guys think that's a good idea. So looking at the just leaders in the playoffs, JK led the playoffs in home runs with 6, and then he was actually second in RBIs with 15. Scooter actually hit over 500. I mean, he just tore it up here in the playoffs, and Simeon actually hit really well as well. Jose Urquidy was actually, I would give him first in ERA because the guy above him didn't pitch as many innings. And then Glasnow actually had the most strikeouts in the playoffs with 22. We didn't even play the World Series, and he still led the playoffs in strikeouts. So let's check out just our season in total and just look at some of our guys. Scooter Gennett was interesting. He is a clutch player, don't get me wrong, but he hit 262. And I was expecting him to hit around 250. He hit a little above that. He's never been an average. He's never been a hit for average guy. But, you know, he was pretty good. We have him for one more year. My plan is to move him over to DH because he is a defensive liability. I mean, you guys saw it yourselves. So many errors were made by him in the field. And I had to really just make up with that with his bat because that's the only thing that really kept him in the lineup. Reese McGuire is a good backup catcher. I'm going to keep him. He's in his arbitration year. He's still 26, really young. I think I might end up platooning he and Corey Lee next year just because Corey Lee didn't hit the greatest. Maybe he hits the ground running and I keep him there, but I do want to give Corey Lee some days off. Marcus Simeon was a surprise of the playoffs. He hit 274 in the regular season, about 10 ticks lower than his regular season total last year, but then hit 421 in the playoffs. That is amazing. He will still be our future in the middle infield. I don't know if he'll play shortstop, though, because I do have Jeremy Pena, who is a better defensive player, and he's ready to kind of be moved up as well. Now, Jesus Aguilar, I knew what he would be. I mean, I've always been a Jesus Aguilar fan. He hit 302 last year, 289 this year. Then the playoffs hit 349. That's what I expect out of him. He will stay at that number 4 spot in our lineup. Now, Yasiel Puig is interesting. A lot of you guys have said to re-sign him. Some of you guys have said to give him a one-year deal. Some have said to let him go. He hit 269 in the regular season, 279 in the playoffs, and I just don't know yet. I need to see the market for other outfielders before I do commit to Puig. I know I can give him probably a one-year deal, but I mean, if there's somebody else that's better and younger, I might go after them. But Puig did actually surprise this year. He hit better than what I thought he would hit. He was hot in the month of April and May, so I want to give him credit for that. He was hot. Now, David Bodie has improved the most on the team. Look at that, plus 12, plus 11, plus 2, plus 1. I mean, pluses all around the board. It looks like he's going to be our star. I think that's what it's going to end up being, at least for the short term, because he hit 331 this year. I don't know how he didn't win Silver Slugger. That still makes no sense to me. He hit higher than, I believe Urshela won it for the Yankees, but he's going to be back. He's going to be our star more than likely. I need to see one more year to really say definitively he's going to be our star. Now, Jake Cave hit amazing. He definitely surprised a lot of guys because I remember when I was first trying to trade for him, a lot of you guys were saying, leave him alone, leave him alone. But then I got him. He hit 299 here. And then you just saw in the playoffs, he went on a tear. And maybe he just got hot, much like Clint Frazier did last season. And we'll have to see what he does in season 2. I think he's going to be a starter in the outfield if Puig does leave. Now, I still think he's going to play quite a bit, but Billy Hamilton will probably lose that spot in center field. I think it's going to be Justin Thompson's to lose just because of the youth. And Billy Hamilton, man, his hits are just weird. I mean, a lot of his hits are just infield singles, soft liners. I mean, things like that. I need to see some better improvement from him to even, consider him being a full-time center fielder because he's good. Don't get me wrong, but he just doesn't do it on a consistent basis. I definitely need to see that. Now, Clint Frazier was interesting. He hit well below what I expected him to hit. He hit 227, and I gave him a 5-year, $15 million deal, much like the David Bodie deal that he has on his contract. And looking at this, I mean, he's locked up. So I'm either going to keep him in the minors or trade him. I don't know what I'm going to do, but he definitely disappointed. He even hit 211 in the playoffs. Maybe he deserves one more chance. I like giving my guys chances because sometimes you just have a bad year. I think that might have been what it was. If anything, he'll just start out at AAA. Now, Raimel Tapia hit very well since being moved up to the majors. He didn't do too well in the playoffs, but he did pretty well in the regular season. He's going to be probably on the roster next year. Now, let's look at our starters here in the playoffs. Tyler Glasnow was amazing, and it's funny because in the regular season, he was not very good. And in the playoffs, he led the MLB in strikeouts. Alex Wood was the complete opposite. Very good in the regular season, terrible in the playoffs. I mean, 7 strikeouts, 3 walks. He pitched 14 innings, and he just didn't do well at all. His whip was close to about 2. I mean, that is just crazy. Now, Jose Urquidy is just kind of steady Eddie. He's never going to wow you. He's never going to be really, really bad. He's just going to be right in the middle there. And, I'm going to have some questions to really answer about him because having these 3 guys at the top of a rotation, along with Jose Lopez, don't forget about him. He's going to come back, hopefully, from injury. It might not be a season-ending injury. Hopefully, it's not. But I will need to see what I'm going to do with those top 4 spots in the rotation because I got some young guys I can definitely move up and use at our MLB level. Now, Rowan Wick was really, really good in the playoffs. He had a 2 ERA. He had a less than a 1 whip. He pretty much didn't give up a run. I mean, he was that good. Now, Ryan Stanek is probably going to come in next year as the closer. I saw enough from him. He did have a 1.43 whip in the regular season, but I think that we just had him in the wrong role. So I think that moving him over to that closer role will definitely benefit him. I guess we'll have to see. Now, Forrest Whitley will compete for that 4 or 5 spot in the rotation next year, more than likely. And depending on what Jose Urquidy is going to do in the offseason, I don't know if I'm going to keep him. I'm going to move him to the bullpen. I might even do that. Just move him to the bullpen for a long relief role and see what he can do in that type of role. But Forrest Whitley will compete for a starting job. Now, I really like what Luke O'Connor did. He was a kind of a guy that I was developing a little bit. And I think that he did well enough to get maybe one of those boosts because he was a guy that came into the season at 69 overall. He pitched way better than 69 overall. And, I think he's one of the guys that I can have in my bullpen for a lot of years. Now, Joe Smith is finally declining. He's in the last year of his deal. He's going to be a free agent. I don't see myself bringing him back. He's 37 years old. I won't be surprised if he retires. But he put together a decent 2 good years with us. He was definitely really good as a starter last season. And Chris Davinsky is also a free agent. So we have a lot of free agents in the bullpen. Ryan Stanek is going into an arbitration year. Rowan Wick is also going to an arbitration year. So we'll have those 2 guys, but we will lose 2 guys as well. Now, a lot of you guys have said to trade Nate Jones. He's older too. So really, I mean, I'm not really tied to him. He didn't even play baseball the year before that. And just looking at what he did this year at the MLB level, I mean, he had a 1.31 whip during the regular season. And then in the playoffs, he just absolutely destroyed us. He cost us a couple of wins, I would say. And honestly, he could have even broken some momentum. And without him and having somebody else there, maybe if he just pitched a little bit better, we could have made it. Now, Craig Stammen, another free agent, and he's older, 37 years old. We definitely need to get younger, as we've had quite an old bullpen these last 2 years. Cole Hamels, 37. We just signed him because of injury. My thing is, next year I'm going to prepare the roster so that if there is an injury, I can just move somebody up that's younger. I think that now guys like Teddy Polititis and also other guys, Forrest Whitley, those guys are ready to pitch at the MLB level right now. We'll look at a couple more of those prospects as well, but I think, you know, we're set up now in year 3 better than we were last year and this year, because, you know, we have our younger guys who are now ready. If they get the number called, they will be, you know, MLB caliber. Now, just looking at our contracts here, you know, we do have a lot of free agents that are relief pitchers, and we have quite a few that are just some outfielders, just some guys that, you know, aren't really, you know, big piece, except for Yasiel Puig in the field. But 2 years from now, you can just see Glass now is a free agent. Puig is obviously going to be a free agent. Nate Jones a free agent. Ryan Stanek a free agent. Scooter, Aguilar, Billy Hamilton. I mean, there's a ton of free agents in 2 seasons. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I might just ride it out with these last couple of years here with these last deals. And here's Pablo Lopez, who is coming off of injury. Hopefully it is not a career ender. That would be horrible, because remember, we traded Kyle Tucker for him, and we were kind of planning for him to be that guy, maybe that future ace in the rotation, at least a 2 or 3 in the rotation, and a guy that's young and that has a lot of potential. Now let's talk about some young guys that will be moved up next year more than likely, or at least have a chance to. Jimmy Pelko, I really like him the most because he's a lefty and he's only 19 years old next year. He's going to be 19. And then Teddy Polititis will be 20 next year, and he is a really good pitcher. One thing that is his calling card is that 99 velocity. I mean, that is going to be hard to touch at the MLB level. Now, looking at our bullpen, you know, I said I wanted to get younger, but we don't have any young guys to really build around. CJ Carter was a guy we drafted in the draft after season 1. He will be the only young guy in the bullpen if he even gets up to the MLB level. I think he still needs a year to develop. Now, in the field, I highlighted in 2 years that Jesus Aguilar's contract will be up. So that's going to kind of ignite Tommy Knight a little bit. Now, I like him. He's got power. He's a lefty, and he's actually got a decent fielding attributes. I mean, if you see that right there, another big year from him, and I could see him progressing and being ready to start in 2 seasons. Now, middle infield is kind of questionable though. Hoy-Young Park was a guy we traded for in season 1. I was definitely expecting him to be ready for the MLB level, but he has not hit well in the minor leagues. I don't know what I'm going to do with him. I might just keep him for depth, but I don't know what am I going to do with him, because I don't really have a spot for him on the MLB level if he's not producing in the minors. And then just looking at third base, not really too many guys here. Anthony Dorsett probably still has a year at least for him to develop into something that will be MLB caliber, but he is 25, so we probably need to start moving him up sooner rather than later. But the young guy, Jeremy Pena here, who is a number 6 prospect in baseball at this point now. He is 23 years old, good fielding, and this is what I was talking about. I might move him to shortstop and then Simeon over to second base. But I need to see maybe a good spring training out of him to really verify him being at the MLB level. But watch out for Nate Barron. He hit very well last year. He is in his mid-20s, a couple years older than Jeremy Pena. The fielding does bother me a little bit, but he is a good hitter. Just watch out for him. I think he's actually a better hitter than Jeremy Pena is right now. So these two will compete in spring training. I don't know who will make it, but obviously those two will compete. Now, in the outfield, Justin Thompson will probably be the starter in center field. I would say it's between him and Tapia, to be honest, because, like I said, I don't see Billy Hamilton really taking the reins. I see him being more of a bench guy, more of a guy that fills in, and a guy that will pinch run as well. But I think Justin Thompson, I think he's got a bright future. He only hit 200 in his short stint at the MLB level, and I didn't have him on the playoff roster before September 1st, so he wasn't eligible for that postseason roster like I hoped that he would. I won't make that mistake next year. So I don't know what the offseason is going to look like, because I don't know who is a free agent, but I do plan on getting younger in the bullpen. That's the number one priority, getting a better bullpen. And honestly, figuring out what to do with Yasiel Puig, that is a big one. And then the middle infield as well. I don't know who is going to be the shortstop and second base, but I kind of gave you guys a hint with Jeremy Pena and Marcus Semien. But if there's a free agent out there that's young and that can compete, I might go after one. So that's going to do it here for this recap here for season 2. Hit subscribe, hit that like button. The offseason should be coming up within the next couple days. I still need to get that done. So stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.
I've been working hard for a minute. The ones who don't deserve it seem to be the ones that get it. The ones who speak the truth never get the recognition, but the ones that act foolish seem to get all the attention. It don't matter though. Yeah. Hey, it don't even matter though. No. Hey, it don't even matter.